Julian was a man who specialized in the big start. Every New Year's Eve, he would draft a 4-page resolution document. He would buy the most expensive running shoes, the premium leather-bound journal, and the high-end software for the novel he was going to write. He would tell his friends, "This is the year everything changes. I'm going to lose 50 pounds, write my book, and learn Italian." And then he would wait. He waited for the perfect Monday. He waited for the week when work wasn't so crazy. He waited for the weather to improve. He waited for motivation to strike him like a bolt of lightning. By February, the running shoes were gathering dust in the closet. The journal was empty save for the first page. And his Italian vocabulary was limited to ciao. Julian was exhausted not by work, but by the sheer weight of the potential he was carrying around. He felt like a failure, paralyzed by the size of his own dreams. The man who moved a mountain across the street lived a quiet man named Mr. Silas. Mr. Silas was 70 years old, walked with a slight limp, and didn't seem to be in a rush to do anything. However, Julian noticed something strange. Over the course of a year, the overgrown rocky hill behind Mr. Silas's house had transformed. Where there was once a chaotic mess of briars and boulders, there was now a stunning, terraced stone garden with winding paths and blooming azaleas. One Saturday, while Julian was sitting on his porch, procrastinating on starting his big cleanup, he saw Mr. Silas slowly walking down the path, carrying a single medium-sized rock. He placed it carefully on a developing wall, patted it, and walked back inside. Curiosity got the better of Julian. He walked over to the fence. "Mr. Silas," Julian called out, "I've been watching your garden. It's incredible. You must work on it all weekend, every weekend." Mr. Silas chuckled, wiping his hands on a rag. "Goodness no, son. I'm too old for weekends of hard labor. My back wouldn't take it." "Then how did you build all those terraces?" Julian asked, gesturing to the hundreds of tons of rock and soil that had been moved. "I have a rule," the old man said, leaning against the fence. "I call it the 2-rock rule." "The 2-rock rule?" "Every morning, while my coffee is brewing, I go out to the hill and I move 2 rocks. Just 2. If I feel like moving more, I do. But I'm only allowed to go back inside once I've moved 2. Sometimes it takes me 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes 20. But I never miss a day." Julian frowned. "Just 2 rocks? That doesn't seem like enough to make a difference." Mr. Silas smiled, a twinkle in his eye. "That's what everyone thinks. They wait until they have the energy to move 100 rocks. But that day rarely comes. In the meantime, I've moved 700 rocks in a year without breaking a sweat. You see, Julian, most people stop because they look at the mountain. I never look at the mountain. I just look at the pebble in my hand." The shift that night, Julian looked at his dusty running shoes. He looked at the novel outline that had been sitting on his desk for 3 years. The mountain felt heavy. Stop looking at the mountain, he thought. Just look at the pebble. He didn't put on his running shoes. He didn't promise to run 5 miles. Instead, he made a deal with himself. "I will put on my socks. If I want to take them off after, I can." He put on his socks. Once they were on, he felt silly taking them off, so he put on the shoes. He walked to the end of the driveway and back. It took 4 minutes. That didn't count, his inner critic whispered. That was nothing. It was 2 rocks, Julian whispered back. The compound effect, the next day, Julian wrote 3 sentences of his novel. Just 3. The day after, he learned 1 Italian verb. For the first month, it felt ridiculous. The results were invisible. He wasn't fit, he wasn't an author, and he couldn't speak Italian. But something else was happening, something internal. The paralysis was gone. The dread of starting had vanished because the barrier to entry was so low, he couldn't say no. 6 months later, Julian was different. The walk to the driveway had naturally evolved into a 3-mile jog, not because he forced it, but because once he was out there, it felt good to keep going. The 3 sentences a day had turned into 2 chapters. On days when he was tired, he still wrote his 3 sentences, keeping the chain unbroken. He realized that tomorrow is a liar. Tomorrow is where dreams go to die. The only time that holds any power is now. The lesson one afternoon, Julian saw Mr. Silas outside, admiring a new fountain he had installed in the center of the terraces. "I did it, Mr. Silas," Julian said, leaning over the fence. "I stopped waiting for the perfect time." Mr. Silas nodded slowly. "The perfect time is a myth, Julian. Time is a river. You can't stand on the bank waiting for the water to stop flowing so you can cross. You just have to get your feet wet." Julian looked back at his own house. It wasn't perfect. He wasn't a bestseller yet. He wasn't an Olympic athlete. But he was no longer a man who waited. He was a man who moved. He realized that success isn't a giant leap that happens in the future. Success is the quiet, uncelebrated choice to move one pebble, write one word, or take one step, right here, right now.